in children at schools. Join us to discuss more on this is a social development strategist with a specialty in creative products and providing policy advisory on pressing developmental issues affecting young children. Welcome with us, Ugochi Obiadegu. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
So we're
for
still
inviting me.
talking about World Day for Health and Safety, and we're quite concerned about our schools, especially because the children are there most of the day. I mean, at least they're there for 5-6 hours, and we're concerned. As much as many schools try to take right measures, but sustaining that measure is a problem. So in your view, how do we begin to ensure that our schools are safer for children, especially now that we still have a pandemic with us?
Okay, so thank you so much for that question, and thank you so much for having me on the show today. So it's really important that our schools are safe. And one of the things we've noticed, most especially in the pandemic, is the fact that compliance has dwindled. And that's because people think, oh, well, it seems there's something working for us in this part of the world that is not working for other people. And that's not entirely true. So compliance must be enforced. Now, how do we ensure compliance? The first thing I always say is we have to improve knowledge. Because when people are more conscious of the effects of not doing what they're supposed to do, then they'll take action. Now, when you increase knowledge, then the next is you've also got to empower these children. Because it's not enough for you to just, teach one person and then that's all. No, you can't just say it once and it's okay. You have to continuously reinforce that messaging using several methods. And that can be through creative methods, like maybe using posters, using books. You could also even play games with the children. Then another thing that is really important is good modeling. I noticed when I had to visit some schools this period that even the teachers are not putting it on properly. So you see the case of maybe it's on their mouth or it's on their ear. No, if you are not wearing, why should I, the child, wear? And that's a problem. So for example, the mask, the efficiency of a mask is two things, the fit and filter. So if some parts are exposed or maybe the filter efficiency is not good, then it's not even performing what it's supposed to do. And so good modeling is very important. Another thing that we can do in schools is to make sure that both parties are carried along. So it's not enough to just say school management should go around, monitor what's going on. How about we include teachers and students in the process? Because we need people to take ownership of the process. When people take ownership of something, they are more invested. And of course, we have to see how to maybe do rewards and penalties. If people are not doing the right thing, what are you going to do? Are you going to ignore it? If you ignore it, then something's going to go wrong. Right. Because you just need one weak link in your safety system and then it causes a problem in your school.
Yes, great.
Okay, yeah, so when going through your CV, it talks about that you work concerning child safety and also reducing substance abuse in youth. This is a huge topic for us here, substance abuse. So could you just tell us a little about the work that you do in that area?
So it actually started during the pandemic because we realized that substance abuse it's actually an epidemic in this country. And recently, with the videos that have shown up on social media, it's now becoming obvious. But it's actually been there, sort of undercover, but it's been going on. So what we started to do was, so there is a 3-pronged approach we do, but we just started with one, and that's bringing in covered drug users. So you've done your rehabilitation, but coming back into the system to get good work, it's not a problem because maybe you don't have enough skills and all that. So what we decided to do was to provide training. So we did a bit in Lagos, but we've done more actually in Kaduna because we realized that it's bad across the country, but it's really bad over in the north, yes? So we decided to make sure that we provide training for recovered drug users. But you see, in the course of having conversation with some of them, they majorly pointed out that peer pressure was a huge factor. So if you, the parent, if you're not doing your part enough at the home front, if that messaging is not reinforced in the school, if that messaging is not reinforced in our places of worship, if it's not reinforced in the media, it's a problem. So if you only teach in one place and the other stakeholders are not doing what they're supposed to do, it's a problem. So that's why it should be a multi-stakeholder approach to managing substance abuse. Because you can't tell me at home, oh, don't do this. My school says don't do it. And then I come to the music videos, they are glorifying it. And these are the things they see on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, these are the people that are the role models to these young people. So we've got to make sure that across board, basically, that everybody is keeping their end of the bargain.
Oh my goodness! You just hit the right note. Let me stay on this training for a minute. I'll come to Topo and YK. It's one thing to train. Let me pick your brain a bit because People train, politicians will train, they'll gather people, train this, soap making, bead making, can you call me catering? But is there a measurement, a number of, to see if indeed these trainings are effective, are people actually using it, and it's actually, they're not becoming empowered to work, not just to have the knowledge, because half of them just get trained and just go right back to status quo.
So when you're designing programs, it's really important that you build in monitoring and evaluation into it from the beginning.
Right.
It's not enough to just do the training and go. Very, very important. You have to create a system that, okay, do we check up with these people every month or every quarter and see the progress made? Many times, because some programs may not really have enough funding, maybe all they can do is just train. And then they're not able to do the necessary monitoring and evaluation. But if you have a bit of funds and you build in the monitoring and evaluation into it, you will see that you can now see what works and what doesn't work. And you see what to remove and what to tweak.
Thank you.
So going back to safety, safety also includes protection from drug abuse and other abuse. How do you believe the school, what do you think is the lacuna in the school system right now that is allowing these things filtering? And let's not talk about private school. They seem to have a bit of ideal, but the majority of Nigerians are in the public school sector. What is that gap that has allowed many of the children fall under peer pressure and get into cultism, other forms of abuse that is entrapping them away from the core of the education?
So I would say these children are coming from communities, right? What are they seeing being modeled around them? They are coming from homes. Now, even if your house, your parents are doing the right thing, what are the people around you doing? So many times, children are taking what they have experienced in their environment and then trying to recreate it in the school system. So maybe in your community, there is this popular tout that makes things happen and everybody pays obeisance to him. Now you come to school, you want to come and be the one. You know, you're organizing people to be loyal to you and then people are not loyal to you. You gather people together to beat them up. And so they now begin to create a system of what they're seeing in the society in their school.
Oh, Gochi, you're hitting the nail on the head. And I'm actually picturing what you're saying. I'm picturing it.
It's the same thing with, sorry to digress, but it's the same thing with our politicians. Our politicians are stealing money, then they're telling you, don't be a thief.
That's a bigger safety.
Like you always go back to
That's a big safety. No, I have to go there because it's the same thing. We are saying the artists are the role models. You see an artist smoking a joint, you want to be like that artist. You see a politician chopping money. You too, I want to be like that politician.
It's a crossword.
So it has contributed to the decadence, the decay of our society.
But what can it do? Teachers do? You know, what are the things teachers can look out for, and how can we empower teachers to spot the lack of safety in the environment? Maybe what are they saying with teachers' phones? What can they do?
Okay, so teachers, there's a limit to what teachers can. I'm going to stand on the side of teachers today. They can try, but there is a limit. So teachers can teach. They can try to do positive modeling. They can show them what's going on in other parts of the world and let them know that if you do this, this is what's likely to happen to you. But if you follow the right path, your future is bright. These are the other things that can happen for you. When we begin to have that positive interviewing with our students, modeling the good things that can happen, and letting them see that this other way, it might look sharper, it might look faster, but it's not enduring.
I hate to bust your bubble. I'm sorry. I hate to bust your bubble, but that's not working. That's the truth. It's not working. Because, I remember I went to an event where I was saying that the professor was talking about he had accomplished without stealing money. He had built one house, he has 2 cars, and his children are abroad. That's his own accomplishment. And I got about that event. I said, young people, between him and the XYZ artist who has billions, or is talking about billions in their accounts, who are you more inspired by? This professor who is proudly saying he has built 1 or 2 houses. Legitimately. And the guy that is saying, listen, I have billions, but I just...
But you see what? So do you know we actually have rich people who got rich doing the right things. How about these people begin to share their stories, begin to come out there? Because if you notice, many people who have done good stuff, they're not really sharing their stories because they don't want village people and all those kind of things. But if you are not coming out and saying that I did it without going through the bad track, the other people will keep, it looks like they're the winning team. We actually have good people who are doing amazing stuff and they need to come out more, share their stories. We're not asking them to brag, but just be real and share your experience.
What she said is the people that made their money the right way,
they've not made that much money.
Some of them have made I'm telling you, some of them are maybe they don't want to. So like, just look like they're showing off. You know, there's this thing in this part of the world, so that they will not say, you know,
the proverb is that you don't expose yourself unnecessarily until like you have really blown. And also, sometimes when you say what you have, people will now, community of beggars, then they will now come and meet you because they feel you have enough money to solve their life's problems. So that might be one of the drawbacks. But I get what you're saying. Celebrities have glamorous lives, and so they are more attractive. And if we make legitimate entrepreneurs also look that glamorous, they would be.
Why you say celebrities not legitimate? They are legitimate.
Yes, now celebrity does not necessarily mean
like more glamorous.
Okay. No, we are talking of the puppies. Those ones are different.
Yes.
Because those are the glamorous.
Yes.
Designer. And they show you the designer.
Okay, let me go to Mariam for a second.
See, I just want to take you back to this substance abuse again. Okay. And for me is, in your work with these people, would you say that parents are not doing enough? Are we speaking enough to our children? Are we educating them enough? Are we, the parents, aware enough of what is actually happening concerning substance use and abuse?
So I don't think a lot of parents really understand the gravity of what's going on. And that's why a lot of people were surprised when they saw the videos that trended on social media recently. But if they've been listening to their children, and if they've created an environment where the children can talk, they would have heard stuff. There is something I always talk about on social media where I say that families should have what I call a family safety meeting. Now, it's not a meeting, but it's just, you know, an opportunity for families to bond. Now, in the course of bonding, you teach a safety topic. Now, if people do that every week, by the end of a quarter, you have taught several topics. And you would have maybe touched on substance abuse this week. Next week, you do child sexual abuse. The upper week, fire safety. By the time you would have covered a lot. Now, many times, our children are thrown into society and they experience things outside before they hear about it. So they don't even know how to act because nobody prepared them. And we must build resilience because the things the children are seeing out there, if people didn't see that video of people mixing all those drinks, they wouldn't have known that's a reality in many parties secondary school students organize. So if you're not having these conversations up front, have the conversations up front before they meet it, so that when they meet it, they can make
Don't
good
be
decisions.
parents.
Oh my goodness.
You're just
you know, because I remember, because I've shared my story several times where I was, I think I was 16 or 17 when my brother's wife, for the first time, tried to give me alcohol, just not because she wanted me to be addicted, she wanted me to just understand, because I was going off to college, you know.
Yeah.
She wanted me to know that, listen, this is happening. She'll tell you, don't take a drink from anybody. If you don't they have these bowls of punch, they put stuff in there.
Yes.
Don't take. Always just go and get your own drink yourself. You know, she practically educated me. So when I was going out, I was equipped with information. I was not having this conversation because
not having it
over my dead, but my child will not see it.
God forbid, I always say, God forbid, it's not my portion is not a strategy. It's not.
They said that there is kidnapping and killing everywhere. Do you know what everybody is saying? Let us pray. Nobody is acting.
But there's a place for prayer, right? Also the place for,
I'm not saying prayer is not
equipping ourselves.
I am saying, what is the point of praying if you are not acting?
Yeah.
True. Very true.
If you are not doing something to solve that problem. You see, when God created us, He created, I don't know whether God is He or she. When God created,
He or she created
everybody. You are eyes, nose, mouth, everything.
So
and
ready to
brain.
go.
The most important thing, the brain. I've equipped you. The same way you will equip your child.
Absolutely.
And send the child to school. You are not going to go and sit down there and write paper for the child. You have to leave the child at the door. Teacher will not even let you enter the classroom.
Yes.
You go. It's the same way that the Creator has created us. Go and
do the right thing.
And use your brain.
Use your brain.
Yeah.
So then you are not using your brain. You are saying, God answered my prayer. Which prayer?
Even the Bible says faith without works is nonsense.
Yeah. So we've actually learned a whole lot, and I think that sometimes it might be good to do like a recap of the things we've learned and actionable steps. I'm blown away by the suggestion of a meeting where these things are discussed in the house first. Maybe preferably age-appropriate conversations.
Age-appropriate, very important.
And then modeling the right things is very important. School and all of that. But if there are like 5 core topics you think every parent should have a conversation with their children, would you list those 5? like 5 key areas children should parents should tell their
primary
children
school
about.
children and
So you're part of that conversation.
Yes, yes.
Those 5 topics.
Okay, so top 5, I would say we need to address this issue of abuse because the age range keeps going down by the day. Babies in Pampers are being abused.
Okay, you're talking sexual abuse
Yes, sexual
now.
abuse,
Okay.
yes. So that's very important. Fire safety is also very important. No matter how much you love your child, you will not be with them 24/7. And if something happens, would they even know what to do? Then road safety is also important. Then how to prevent abduction. You know, there was this case where a child had been dropped up in front of school, and then a man offered her either chocolate or something, and then she went, and he said, okay, come, there is more, and she followed. But then because she started, screaming and all that, another person that saw just felt like something is not right here. And when she asked, the child said, I don't know this person. And then, he now dropped and all that. But if this kind of conversations happen early, they know to avoid baits. Then, I've said, then there's road safety, very important, because you don't want to know what the children are doing on the roads. They're basically having fun, they are running, playing, and all this sort of stuff. It's very important that they learn. And then, of course, falls. So I have a child safety storybook series. When I go to primary schools, I read the story. Now, there's one of the stories that says Toby was trying to fly like Superman and he fell off the stairs. Everywhere I read that, all the children laugh, both public and private school. And that's because at one point in their life, they tried Superman stunt. So that place of falls, slip, trips, and falls is very important also.
Oh my goodness, fantastic. I love it.
So the older children, this is for the younger children, the older children.
The thing is, these topics can actually cover all of them. But the only difference is the complexity would vary according to the age of the child. So if, for example, you're talking about abuse and molestation with a secondary school student, it will be totally different from when you're talking to maybe the ones in primary school. Now, if I go to primary schools and I'm teaching them about fire safety, I'm basically talking about, prevention, what not to do. But when I go to secondary schools, I'm telling them about the triangle of fire. I'm telling them some more. I might even maybe play around with how to use a fire extinguisher and tell them you are not supposed to use, your job is to look for an adult. But basically, it has to be age appropriate.
Oh goodness, thank you. I think you've really given us some insights today. Really appreciate you, Ogochi. Thank you very much for coming today. And I think you're somebody we need to bring back again because issue of safety. All right. So before we wrap up,
Drug.
do you have any tweets, YK?
Drug. Not really.
Any tweets on this?